Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is T of the FTK Crochet brand and I am back with another tutorial. So today we are going to be making the tutorial for this beautiful granny square skirt. Look at the details. It is a step-by-step detailed tutorial, so it is beginner friendly. If you are new to crochet, this is something you can actually make for yourself or for a loved one. All right, but before we go into today's tutorial, make sure you are subscribed to my channel so you do not miss out on any of the tutorials that I post on here. All right, so let us get into today's tutorial. Okay, so for this project, these are the materials that you're going to need. You're going to need a whole lot of scrap yarns. All right, this yarn choice now is an acrylic yarn and it's a 2-ply yarn, but I'm going to be putting 2 strands together to create a 4-ply for myself. So automatically for the yarn choice, I'm going to be using a 4-ply acrylic yarn. Okay, so this is going to be my base color. All right, so at the end of the day, after making the granny squares with all of these colors mixed together, I'm going to be joining it with this black color. So my base color is going to be the black color. All right, and for this one you're going to need some stitch markers, you're going to need the scissors, you're going to need the measurement tape, very important, you're going to need a tapestry needle, and on this one we are going to be working with a 4.5mm hook size. Okay, so let us get into it. Okay, so the measurement you are going to need making the skirt is going to be your hips measurement and the length that you want your skirt to be on. All right, so you have to take this measurement seriously because that is how you are going to determine how many rows you need for each of your squares. Okay, so this one I'm making now for the hips, I'm going for a 44 inches, but because of the yarn type and size that I'm going to be using, I'm going to minus 2 inches out of my own. So I'm going to be going for 42 inches for the hips size. Okay, so let us get into it. So the first square I made now is 5 inches. Okay, so like this one now, what gave me the 5 inches is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all together on this one. Okay, I'm going to be teaching you how to make the square. Okay, so to begin the square, you're going to make a magic circle. If you are familiar with making the regular granny square, you don't have to learn this part. Just go ahead to make a granny square of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For like my own measurement, 5. Okay, but if you are a smaller size, you can just make 4. Okay, because you don't want it to be too big. Then if you're a bigger size, you can go ahead to make more. So depending on your measurements, that is what you are going to use to make your own square. Okay, so for my own now, I'm going for 5 rows of granny square now. All right, so you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2 and 3, and on the magic circle you are going to be making 2 more double crochets on that magic circle, because this chain 3 we just made right now is going to be standing as 1 double crochet for us. Okay, so this is what is going to give us our very first cluster. All right, so chain up 1, and on that same circle you are going to be going in there with 3 double crochets. So in this case now, the 3 double crochets, I'm going to be referring to it as a cluster. Okay, so you chain 1 again, and on that same circle you're going to be going in there with another cluster. That means 3 double crochet on that same circle, then chain up 1, and on that same circle you are going to be going in there with another cluster. So 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so now we have 4 clusters inside this circle. So what you are going to do now, you're going to drag the strand behind to tighten the middle, and then chain up 1 and do a slip stitch on the chain 3 stitch that you started with right here to end the row 1, just like this. All right, so now for the row 2, you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, then turn your work to the other side. Okay, so this chain 3 is going to be our first double crochet. So on this space now, you are going to be going in there with 2 more double crochet to create the very first cluster. All right, so now you are going to chain up 1, and on this same space you are going to be going in there with another cluster, because right here now we are going to be creating a corner. All right, so now you are going to go into the next space and put in your very first cluster on that space. So that's 1, 2, and 3, and then you are going to chain up 1, and on that same space you are going to be going in there with another cluster. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so we just created 2 corners now. So now you are going to be going into the next space, and make sure when you are going into the next space you don't make any chains. Okay, the only places you are free to make chains is inside this corners that you are creating. Okay, so go into the next space now and put in your next cluster. 1, 2, and 3. Chain up 1, and inside that same space you are going to be going in there with another cluster. 2, and 3. So now you are going to go into the next space. Here we are going to be creating our next corner. Okay, so go in with your first cluster. 1, 2, and 3, and now chain up 1, and on that same space you are going to go in with another cluster. 2, and 3. So now you are going to do a slip stitch on the very chain 3 stitch that you started with right here to end the row 2, just like this. So as you can see now, we just created our corner, our 4 corners for our triangle. All right, so for the row 3 you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, then turn your work to the other side. So this chain 3 is going to be serving as our very first double crochet. So on this space now you are going to be going in there with 2 more double crochets to create a cluster. All right, so since this is not a corner, we are not going to be putting another cluster here. So you are going to go into the next space. So this next space now happens to be a corner. So what you are going to do, you are going to put in your very first cluster. Then chain up 1, and on that same space you are going to be going in there with another cluster. And 3. Okay, so now we are on the side. So on this side you are just going to be going in there with 3 double crochets, which is 1 cluster. And we have gotten to the next corner again, so you do the same thing to create your corner. So the corners are the places that you do the increases, and the increases is 1 cluster, chain 1, then another cluster on that same space. All right, just like this. So now we are back to the side. You are going to put in just 1 cluster right here, and back to the next corner again you do exactly the same thing. 1, 2, 3, chain up 1, and on that same space you create another cluster, because like I said, this happens to be one of the corners. All right, so now we've gotten to the side again. So the side is going to be getting just 1 cluster on that space. So on the very last corner now, you are going to be going in there with a cluster, 1, 2, and 3, and then you are going to chain up 1, and on that same space you are going to be going in there with a cluster. Just like this. So this concludes our row 3. So what you do now, you just do a slip stitch on the chain 3 stitch that you started with right here to end this row. Okay, so we are done with row 3. So for the row 4 now, you are going to chain up 3, turn your work to the other side, and this chain 3 is going to be serving as our first double crochet. So on this space now, you add 2 more double crochets on that space to create our cluster. So that happens to be a side, so we are not doing any increase there. The next space now happens to be a corner, so on this corner we are going to be doing the next increase. So you are going to put in 3 double crochets, which is 1 cluster, chain up 1, and on that same space you are going to be going in there with another cluster. So it's just as easy as possible. You're just going to be doing the repetition of 2 and 3 all around. Okay, when you get to the sides, you're just going to put in 1 cluster, but when you get to the corners, you're going to put in 1 cluster, chain 1, and another cluster on same space. So this is exactly how you are going to be creating your square. Okay, so I'm at the next corner now. All I need to do now is put in a cluster, chain up 1, and on that same space I'm going to be going in there with a cluster. All right, so you keep doing this, keep creating your square. I'm going to go off camera now to complete my square, and I'm going to come back to show you the finished result. Okay, so I now have my 5 rows on the square, 1 2 3 4 5. All right, so with this one now, I'm just going to chain up 1 and then cut off this yarn. And then tie. All right, so we now have 2 of our squares ready. All right, so now we are going to go ahead to make more of the squares. All right, so depending on the length that you are going for, that is the amount of squares that you are going to be making. Okay, so I'm done with my 14 squares, and this is how it's looking so far. I just like the colors. See how beautiful they are. Okay, so to join the squares together, like I told you, we are going to be doing 1 more row, but this time around we are not using the colors that we've been using. We are going to be using the color that we are going to use to connect the squares together. So in this case now, I'm going to be using my black yarn color. All right, so you are going to reattach your yarn now on one of the squares. So I'm starting with the orange color. All right, so you already know what to do here. Just go ahead and do 1 more row on this first square, and when I'm done with mine, I'll come back to show you how we are going to continue the joining. Okay, okay, so I'm done putting in the black row. So this is how it's looking so far. So you are going to end it just the normal way right here. On the chain 3 space, you are going to do a slip stitch to end the row, because we are going to be cutting off the yarn from here. Okay, so cut it out and then tie. So you are going to set this one aside. Then now you are going to take another one. So this time around, we are going to be putting in a row on this one, but we are not going to finish it, because halfway through the 8 we are going to be joining with this one. Okay, so now you are just going to make your normal double crochet, your normal clusters on here. 1, 2, and 3. So you are going to do the regular way we do the clusters. Chain up 1 because this is a corner actually, and then do another cluster. So you are going to do it on just these parts. Okay, we are just going to be doing the clusters now on just here. Okay, so when you get to this end here, just hold on. When I get here, I'll come back to tell you what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so I've gotten to the end. So you know this is a corner, so we are just going to put in one cluster. So you know when we make the corner, we're supposed to put one cluster, then chain 1, then another cluster. But this time around, you're not going to be doing that. You're just going to make just one cluster. All right. So you see this one that you've already put one row of the black. You take it, then on one of the corners. Please just watch this very well because it's a little tricky. Let me push this aside. Okay. So now, what you are going to do, instead of making one chain before you continue on this part, you won't make a chain. You are going to remove your hook from the loop and then go into this corner here. Okay, put your hook into the corner, the space on that corner, the chain 1 space, and then you take the loop just like this and then pull it out right here. Okay, so now you are going to chain up 1 just like this. Okay, so you see this space now, you now come back here on this other square and then you complete the cluster on this side. 2 and 3. So as you can see now, we have already connected it here. Okay, so now you are going to remove your hook from the loop again and go into the next space right here on this next panel, which is the orange panel now, and go into the space. So then you pull the loop, pull it out of the space just like this, and then you are going to chain up 1. Okay, and then come back to the gray square, the next space. Now you are going to do your cluster on that space. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so you remove your hook from this loop again, go into the orange square. On the next space here, you put your hook in here just like this and then pick up the loop from here, then pull it out and then chain up 1, then come back to the gray square again and make a cluster on the next space just like this. So you see how easy it is? See, we are doing the connection now. Let me do it one more time before I go off camera to join mine. Okay, so come to this orange square now, go into the loop just like this with your hook and then pull out a loop like this. All right, and then chain up 1 just like this, and now come back to the gray. So you see the next space now, you are going to be doing a cluster on that space. 1, 2, and 3. Remove your hook from here again, come back to this next space on the other square, pull out the loop, chain up 1, then come back to the gray and do your normal cluster. 1, 2, and 3, and now go into the next space right here again on the orange square and pull out the loop from here just like this, chain up 1. So now we are at the corner again. Okay, so you are going to go in there with just 1 cluster first, 2, and then 3. Okay, so now go into the corner on the orange square, which is the next space, and then pull out the loop. You chain up 1 just like this, yarn over, and now you know this is a corner, so we are going to be going into that same space with another cluster. 1, 2, and 3. So as you can see, we have succeeded in connecting the orange square to the gray square. So what you are going to do now, you continue putting in your normal cluster like you've been doing until you get to these parts. Okay, so now you just go ahead and keep putting in your clusters until you get to the very end. So I'm going to go off camera now to do mine, and I'm going to come back to show you how we are going to be joining our next square. Okay, so I'm at the end here now. So to end this row, as usual, I'm just going to do a slip stitch on the chain 3 stitch right here, and then chain up 1 and then cut off the yarn. So now we have 2 down. So this is exactly how we are going to be joining it until we get to the length that we are going for. You put this aside. We are going to continue the joining now. So we are going to do exactly what you did on the gray one. That is exactly what you are going to repeat. It's exactly the same thing. That is how you join all of them. Okay, so now you are going to do the clusters now down to this point again. Okay, so reattach your yarn. So you remember what we did on the gray square. That is what you are going to be repeating on this blue square now. Okay, so the first corner, you're just going to put in your normal clusters, chain up 3, put in your clusters, so chain up 1, and on that same space, so you already know what to do right here. I'm going to go off camera now to do mine, and I'm going to come back to show you how we are going to be connecting this blue square to what we've already been doing. All right, so you go ahead now, put your clusters down to this point, and I'll come back to show you how we are going to be connecting it. Okay, so I'm at the end of this row now. So like I told you, we've gotten to where the corner is now. You are going to be putting your 1 cluster on the corner, because this is where we are going to be connecting the other part with. Okay, so now that you have your 1 cluster here, you're going to turn it just like this. So now we are going to be connecting this corner. Okay, so you are going to put your hook in the corner just like this, just like we did in the previous one, and take out the loop and pass it through. Then you're going to chain up 1. So on this same space now, which is the corner space, you are going to be going there with another cluster, sorry, 2 and 3. Okay, then remove your hook from here, go into the next space on the orange square now, and then pass it through, chain up 1, come back to your blue, the next space right here, you're going there with a cluster. All right, so remove your hook again and go in here, and come back here again and go ahead with your cluster. So it's as simple as this. This is exactly what you are going to be doing to join the squares together. Okay, remove your hook from here, go into the next space on the orange square, pull out the loop just like this, chain up 1, go into the next space on the blue, and complete this cluster right here. 2 and then 3. Come back here again to the next space, pull out the loop, chain up 1, come back to your blue and do your cluster on the next space. 2 and then 3. Come back here again, pull out the loop, chain up 1. So now we are at the corner. So you are going to be going in there with the first cluster on the corner, 1, 2 and 3. So now the next space now happens to be where we did the joining, if you remember. Okay, so now you are going to be going into this space. Okay, you take the space just like this, you pull out the loop, from there just like this, and then chain up 1. Okay, so now on this same space from the blue, you are going to be completing the cluster right there, because you know it's a corner, so we're going to be putting in another cluster on that part. So you see, we have succeeded in joining these parts now. So you go ahead now and just continue putting in your clusters all the way to this part and end it here. Okay, so I'm going to come back for the last time to show you how to join the 4th one before I go off camera to join mine. Okay, so I've gotten to the end here now, so all I need to do is tie and cut off my yarn from this part, because we're going to be putting this one aside now and getting our next square. Okay, but so far this is how it's looking. We have 3 down, so now we are going for the 4th one, because like I told you, this is exactly what we just continue doing until we get to the length that we are going for. Okay, so now the next, I'm going to be using this one. Okay, so I'm at the end of this row here again. So as you can see, I've put my 1 cluster on the corner parts. Okay, so now to join it to this side, you're going to turn your work like this. So this is how we are going to be fixing these parts. So you're going to go into the corner space right here, like we've been doing. The chain 1 space now, you put your hook there and then pull out the loop, chain up 1. And on this same corner space, now you're going to be going in there with a cluster. So you are familiar with this. You put in your cluster, then go into the next space again on the blue square this time around. Insert your hook there, then take the loop from this part, pull it out, chain up 1, then come back here again on this square and then put in your cluster. So it's as easy as this. This is exactly what you are going to be doing. Okay, so take this, pull out the loop from the space, chain up 1, then come back here again and just keep making clusters. So I'm going to go off camera now to join mine, and then I'm going to come back to tell you how it's looking, to show you how it's looking and what we're going to be doing next. All right, so if you didn't catch it, you are free to actually rewind the video, just take it slowly and make sure you have an idea of how you are joining your entire piece, because this is exactly how you're just going to be working it. Okay, so keep doing the joining until you get to the length that you are going for. So I'm going off camera to do mine now, and when I'm done, I'll come back to show you how it's looking. Okay. Okay, so I'm done joining all of my piece together, and I've got the length for the hips that I'm going for. All right, so I joined all 14 squares, and this is how it's looking so far. So the next step now, we are going to be joining the 2 ends together. So you have to close it up just like this. All right, so like I told you, I was the hips for my skirt is 44. So this is what I got after putting together the 14 squares. Okay, so you make sure you take your own measurement. This is your friend when you do projects like this. All right, take your own measurement and make sure that you are okay with this. Okay, if 14 is too much for your own size, you can always reduce it. You don't have to do exactly what I am doing. Take your measurements and make sure of the yarn type that you are using so you can get what you are going for. All right, so the next step now, we are going to be closing this part. Okay, so we are going to be using the tapestry needle to sew this part close so we can get our round hip. All right, so all you need to do now is just take a strand of yarn from the yarn that you've been using and put it into your tapestry needle. All right, so there are different ways to actually join. If you know you don't want to use this particular method of the tapestry needle and sewing, you can go joining with either single crochet or a slip stitch method, but this time around I'm going with the tapestry needle. Okay, so to join, you are going to go into, you see the space, the chain one space here. You are going to go into that chain one space. I like to take the stitch instead of going into the space. All right, and make sure you leave a little bit of tail at the end, because that's what you are going to use to tie when you are done sewing together. So come to the other panel. Let me bring it down a bit so you see what I'm doing. All right, so come to this other side and take the stitch from the chain one and drag it out. Okay, so now we've established the joining. so all you need to do now is just tie this part so it will be secure on the end here. All right, so now go to the next stitch on this part and pick the stitch from the very bottom and drag it out, and then go to the other parts, pick the stitch from the bottom and drag it out. Come back to this part again, take the next stitch from the bottom and drag it out, and come to the other part and just keep doing this. It's as easy as this. Just be taking the stitches one after the other, and make sure you're taking the stitches from the bottom, and when you are doing it, make sure it's uniform. Okay, come here, take the next stitch from the bottom and drag it out. So I'm going to go off camera now to complete my own joining, and I'm going to come back to show you how it's looking and what we are going to be doing next. All right. Okay, so I'm done with the sewing. So as you can see, you see how neat this is. So it's all blended together. All right, so now you are supposed to choose where your top part of the skirt is going to be and where the bottom part is going to be, because right now we are going to start working the band of the skirt, so which is the top. So automatically I'm deciding to choose the parts I ended my own sewing. All right, so this is going to be the top part of my skirts. So to begin the band, we are going to be making one row of the granny stitch all around. Okay, so you're going to reattach your yarn right here where you did the joining. We are going to be using that part as our joint part. All right, so that is where you reattach your yarn, and then chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. So on this stitch now where you did your chain 3, you're going to be making 2 more double crochet inside that stitch, because this chain 3 is going to be serving as our first double crochet. All right, so by putting in 2 more double crochet on that stitch, you have created your very first cluster, just like this. All right, so now you're going to go into the next space and create a cluster. And into the next space, you create a cluster. So you already know what to do. You just keep putting in 1 cluster on each of the spaces as you go until you get to the very end. All right. So the places you did the joining, instead of putting in 2 clusters on 2 of the spaces, you are going to be putting just 1 cluster. Okay, because we want the top parts to be a little bit smaller than the hips parts. So when you get to that space, you're going to be making just 1 cluster instead of 2. All right, so now I've gotten to this part. So in order for us to do just 1 cluster on these 2 spaces, we are going to be doing a decrease. Okay, so please just watch this part. Okay, so now you are going to go into this first space with a double crochet. And now you are going to be going into this same space with a double crochet, but you won't finish it. All right, so go into this first space. Now pull out a loop. Now that you have 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull out 2 loops. Okay, so now you are going to yarn over again. Then now come to this next space close to it and go into that space. And that is where you finish your double crochet. So now that you have 4 on your hook, you yarn over, pull out 2 loops. Now that you have 2 on your hook, you yarn over, you pull out all 3 loops. So now we have 2 double crochets. And now on this same space, you're going to be going in there with the last one to complete our cluster. Okay, so just keep putting in your clusters on each of the spaces again. Then when you get to that joint space again, you do exactly what you did here. Okay, so continue doing that and I will meet you here to show you how we end it here. All right. Okay, so I'm at the end of the first round, and to end this row now, you're just going to make a slip stitch on the chain 3 stitch that you started with right here. Just like this. Okay, so now to begin the next row, you are going to do a slip stitch on the next stitch, and you're going to do a slip stitch on the next stitch. So the slip stitches you are doing is just to take you to this next space, because we are going to be doing another row of granny stitch. All right, so on this space now, you are going to be making the last slip stitch. Okay, so now you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. So this chain 3 is going to be serving as our first double crochet. So on this same space now, you're going to be going in there with 2 more double crochet to create our very first cluster. All right, so on the next space, you do a cluster again. So you already know what to do. Just keep making clusters on each of the spaces until you get to the very end again. So I'm going to go off camera now to do mine, and I'm going to come back to tell you what we are going to be doing next. All right. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 2 now. So to end on this row, you are going to be making a slip stitch on the chain 3 stitch that you started with right here. All right, so now we are going to be doing something a little bit different. Okay, so we are done working our clusters. So now for this row, you are just going to be making 1 double crochet on each of the stitches all around. Okay, so now to begin that, you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. So this chain 3 is going to be serving as our first double crochet. So on the next stitch now, you are going to be going in there with 1 double crochet. And on the next stitch, you're going to go in there with 1 double crochet. So the next stitch gets 1 double crochet. The next gets 1 double crochet. So this is exactly what you're just going to be working all around. And I will meet you at the end here. Okay? Okay, so I'm at the end of the double crochet row. So to end this row, you're going to be making a slip stitch on the chain 3 stitch that you started with right here. All right, so this is how it's looking so far. All right, so now we are going to be making front post and back post double crochet. All right, so to begin that, you're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. So this chain 3 is going to be serving as our first double crochet. All right, so on the next stitch now, you're going to be going in there with a front post double crochet. Just like this. And then on the next stitch, you are going to be going in there with a back post double crochet. I believe by now we all know how to make a front post and a back post double crochet. All right, so that is what you keep doing. Okay, for those of us that don't know how to make the front post and the back post, let me bring it down a little so you can see what I'm doing clearly. All right, so to make a front post, you are going to yarn over. So instead of going into the regular stitch just like this, you won't do that. You are going to take the space, you're going to pick the stitch up like this, yarn over and pull out a loop, Now that you have 3 on your hook, you're going to yarn over, pull out 2 loops. Now that you have 2 on your hook, you're going to yarn over and pull out all 2 loops. All right, so for the back post, you're going to yarn over. So instead of taking the stitch from the front like this, you now go through the back like this, yarn over and pull out a loop. Now that you have 3 on your hook, you're going to yarn over, pull out 2 loops. Now that you have 2 on your hook, you're going to yarn over and pull out the 2 loops, just like this. All right, so you're going to be doing front posts, and the next stitch gets a back post. Next gets a front post, and next get a back post. So keep doing this until you get to the very end here again. And when I get here, I'll come back to tell you what we're going to be doing next. All right. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row now. So I'll be calling this one my row 2 because this is where I started the normal double crochet and the front post and the back post. So we are not going to be counting these cluster stitches. All right, so now to end this row, you are going to be making a slip stitch on this space right here. So you know, normally when we end, we do our slip stitches on the chain 3, but this time around we are going to go into the space that divides the chain 3 and this first front post. That is where you're going to do your slip stitch to end this row, just like this. Okay, so now to begin the next row, you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and this chain 3 is going to be standing as our first double crochet. All right, so the next stitch now, as you can see, is a front post from the previous row. You are going to be putting a front post there on this row as well, and the back post from the previous row, you are going to be putting a back post on this stitch as well. So the previous front post gets a front post, and then the previous back post gets a back post. So this is exactly what you are going to follow. All right, so continue doing your front post and the back post. The front post from previous row gets a front post on this row as well, all around. And then when you get to this part, you do your slip stitch inside the space here instead of the chain 3 stitch. Okay, you put your slip stitch inside the space, then chain up 3 again, and keep doing. The front post gets a front post, the back post gets a back post, all around. So that is exactly what you do for the band until you get the inches that you like to put for yours. All right, so I'm going to go off camera now to create mine, and I'm going to come back to tell you how many rows I end up making and what we are going to be doing next. All right. Okay, so I'm done with my band and I ended up making 8 rows altogether. All right, so this 8 rows now gave me exactly 2.5 inches. So I think I'm going to be stopping here because I don't want the skirt to be too long. So I want it to be this length. So the next step now, we are going to be making just 2 rows of our granny stitch at the bottom here. All right, but if you know you want yours longer, you can actually go ahead to make more rows. If you even want to make it a long skirt, you can decide to just keep adding rows to your own. But for mine, I'm just going to be making 2 rows of our granny stitch, the clusters. I'm just going to make 2 rows at the bottom and I should be done with my skirts. All right, so first I'm going to be cutting off the yarn from here, and then I'm going to tie it. So to begin, you are going to be reattaching your yarn right here. You can pick any space to actually reattach your yarn because we're just going to be making the clusters in each of the spaces all around. So this time around, we are not going to be doing the decreases we did on the band area. Okay, so you're going to chain up 3. On this same space now, you're just going to make 2 more double crochets to make it a cluster. All right, so you already know what to do. Okay, so you are putting in 1 cluster on each of every of the spaces until the very end. No decreases this time. All right. So when you get to this places, this joint places, you are going to be making a cluster on this space, and then you are going to make a cluster on this space. So we are not doing the decrease on this one. Okay, so just keep doing the cluster stitches all around, 2 rows. All right, so I'm going off camera to do my own 2 rows, and I'll be right back to tell you what we're going to be doing next. All right. Okay, so I'm done with the 2 rows of the granny stitch at the bottom, and this is how it's looking so far. And like I told you, if you want it longer, all you just need to do is keep adding more rows on your own. All right, but for me, I'm okay with this length, and this is where I'm going to be stopping mine. Okay, so this is it. It is so beautiful. All I need to do now is just go ahead to weave in all of my ends, and I will be done with my skirts. All right. So for now, we are done with the tutorial for today. I do hope you enjoy watching this video as much as I did creating the video. If you do, make sure to like this video and share it to your friends and your family who wants to make something as beautiful as this. All right. And if you've not subscribed to my channel before now, please do so now. You don't want to be missing out on all of the beautiful tutorials that I post on here. Okay. And if you have any questions about this project, feel free to drop it on the comment section and I will be happy to help. All right. So until next time, bye bye.